Have you ever wondered what's this like giving birth in America? Well, let's get right into it. So, I have given birth twice, both in America, and I will go ahead and share my experience with you guys. And each experience was quite different. Well, usually in America, it really depends on different. We have 50 states, so it really depends on which state you live in. Each state have different rules and regulations. However, prior to going to the hospital, they make you visit the hospital, the state that I live in, and they made me visit the hospital. They made me take baby classes, and they also made me do lots of paperwork, which I mentioned in the other video. They have tons of paperwork, which will save you time when you do get to the hospital. So when I got into my labor, I went straight into the hospital, and first thing that they made me do is check in at the front desk. You are allowed to have one visitor at that time. Again, it just varies hospitals to hospitals, but the hospital I went to, they only allowed one visitor with me. But that visitor couldn't go outside whatsoever. If he were to enter in, he couldn't go outside. So that was my husband at that. He couldn't go outside. That was my husband. Well, first thing that they do here is, like I mentioned, they do the paperwork, and then they made you do the corona test at that time. So I had both of my babies in pandemic. Yes, which was really not so fun, because they made me put on a mask while giving birth. Even though they have taken my corona test, which was negative, thank God, but they did make me put on a mask. And so in the hospitals, you have a labor room, then you have a delivery room, then you have like a postpartum room. So labor room and delivery room is one, and then the postpartum room is the second room that they take you after you give birth. And they keep you there for at least 24 hours, which I mentioned in the other video. So while I'm in my labor and delivery room, staffs are coming in, staffs are coming out. They're just checking on my baby's heart rate. They're checking on my heart rate. They're just making sure everything is okay. But and meanwhile, they don't let you drink anything. They don't let you eat anything. You have to, they'll give you food after you give birth. But I was super hungry. They only give you a little bit of ice here. So when it was time for my baby to come out, baby came out, and they took so the hospital that I went to had NICU. A lot of hospitals in the States don't have NICU, and where they have birthing center. So it just, again, depends on which hospital you go to. So my hospital did have a NICU, which they had a separate portion of that NICU. So when my baby came, they took my baby straight to the NICU because he had some breathing problems, but thankfully he was okay. After that, so after my labor and delivery, they took me to a postpartum room, which was a completely separate section that they have in the hospital for babies and the newly mothers. There they keep you for 24 hours. They make sure that you are okay, your baby is okay, you are able to move, you are able to take care of this baby prior to going home. And you guys, let me tell you this, if you guys are in a postpartum room, take your time, because you need as much as help you can get as a first-time mom. And that's the only, the biggest advice I can give you, all of you guys. Take your time there in postpartum room. And then doctors are usually, they come in, they come out, and it's a very slow process in postpartum room. Literally, you stay there the whole night. And during the whole night, nurses and doctors and staffs do come in, check on you and the baby, your health. So the first couple of hours while I was in my postpartum room, I could not move, because I just obviously delivered, so it took me a couple of hours to stand up on my feet. Thankfully, I didn't have C-section, but again, that would have been a different story. So while you are in postpartum room, they make sure that before you leaving the hospital, you have all the correct paperwork, financially. So a lot of people here, they usually have insurances that they go by. prior to giving birth. Again, which state you live in varies which insurance you have, but you have to have insurance, and hospital here are very, very expensive, extremely expensive. And everything that you use there, everything that you ask there, they will make you pay for it. And thankfully I had insurance at that time. My insurance covered most of it. But make sure before you give birth here in USA, you need to have an insurance. You need to have like a backup plan. You need to make sure that you're financially covered, because if you're not, they're gonna come after you. This is not free hospital. So like, I don't know any free hospital that give birth, but mostly here they make you pay a lot of money. They even made me pay for a bottle of water, which was $200, and they sent the bill home. So it's really important, you guys have all your insurance information covered. You guys have all the proper essentials before going to the hospital. And after giving birth and you have your baby, you're good to go. You're good to go. And yeah.